Welcome to the Hexham Town Council full council meeting here on the 8th of December here in Prior's Hall, Hexham Abbey. Item number 1 is welcomed by the Chair, which is myself, and I'm Town's Mayor and I'm Councillor Derek Kennedy. Our second item is public participation, where we invite any member of the public to ask any question that is relevant to the Hexham Town or the Hexham Town Council. So I will ask this lady here.
There will be loads of people.
Would you like to ask a question? If you do, please stand and mention your name and
is the council representative from the Northumberland?
could I have your name, please?
Sorry, my name's Elizabeth Sterland. I wanted to ask about the item on the agenda about Antony Gormley and the old fire station. I wanted to ask if we are having a representation from Northumberland County Council, I believe, and that's it.
Right, okay. So I'll answer that question. So we did invite the leader of the Northumberland County Council, Glenn Sanderson, to attend today's meeting. He did say he would try, but he is not attending, which is unfortunate. However, there is a long debate on all that's going on with the Sir Antony Gormley proposal and the fire station. So there will be a long conversation about that in the next few minutes. So if you wish to listen to that, please just sit and listen.
How can I listen to it? How can it?
Just sit here.
Right.
All
right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you and welcome.
I'm floored by it.
Very good, welcome. Okay, so that's item number 2. Item number 3, apologies for absence.
Tom Sharrock.
We have apologies from Tom Sharrock. Any disclosures of interest? Item 4. Any dispensations? Item 5. Okay, number 6, minutes of the last meeting. So our last meeting was the 10th of November 2025. So I'll just go through these. So page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. Is there any items to raise? Permission to sign? Thank you. That's number 6. Right, our next item is item number 7, which is to discuss the call-in of the old fire station decision at Northumberland County Council. To note, the leader of Northumberland County Council, Councillor Glenn Sanderson, has been invited to the discussion, and what we intend to do here is to talk about the feedback from the call-in process and the identification of next steps and any new role for the Town Council that wishes to take. So what I will do first of all, and before I bring other people in, is that I will I'll just explain council procedures, but I'll bring Penny Brennan as part of that.
Because you're come for this item, can you hear us? No.
Please,
So I'm wondering if you'd like to join
yeah,
us, although you cannot speak, I don't think. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm deaf as a post.
Alright, don't forget.
That's fine.
That's fine.
What's your name?
Liz Sterland.
If you can't hear this is no.
Yeah, okay. So So what is a call-in procedure? A call-in procedure has not been used in the County Council for 5 years, so it's a rarely used procedure. Northumberland County Council has a cabinet, so its cabinet makes decisions. It has a series of scrutiny committees that sit underneath that cabinet, and if they feel, or a member of the council feels as though an item has been decided that is, let's say, I'll use the words unsafe, 5 members of the County Council can sign a document with reasons for a call-in, and what it would do is then pause the decision made at the cabinet. It would then go to the relevant scrutiny committee, because there's 4 scrutiny committees. It would go to the relevant scrutiny committee. If the officers believe that the call-in is appropriate, it will then proceed through that process and then go into a meeting of that scrutiny committee, in which the members of the scrutiny committee, of which there are 10, will then discuss, debate and probe the decision. Witnesses will be called to provide the necessary information accordingly. So that is the process. So I'll just again what actually happened in this case. As we all know, we've all been very invested in the whole Sir Antony Gormley's proposal to go to the fire station, the old fire station. We've been talking about this for probably close on 1 year. We had made good relations between ourselves and Hexham, with the County Council's leadership, including the leader Glenn Sanderson, and with Sir Antony Gormley and his team. So there was a tripartite arrangement where we were talking. So that's been going on for some time. You know, we've acted in good candour between everybody, trying to promote this and taking it forward. As you know, in the summer, the County Council decided to put a demolition notice for the fire station, which the Town Council knew nothing of it. Myself and County Councillor Suzanne Fellis-Aiken knew nothing of it. And that caused some much dissension between those relations, because we didn't know anything about it, neither did Sir Antony Gormley's team either. So that caused some dissension between that tripartite arrangement. Anyway, we tried to work that out. It then became public. You know, then there was a big gathering of Hexham people there to promote, you know, our thoughts on and supporting the Sir Antony Gormley proposal. So things sort of settled, and there was still a long conversation between those tripartites, and things were going, we thought, pretty well, until the 11th of November 2025, when the leader of the council took a unilateral decision, which was unknown to anybody in Hexham, that he was going to take an urgent paper, which was not on the agenda of the cabinet meeting, and he took that paper, which was to decide that the fire station proposal with Antony Gormley was finished, and that they were going to demolish the fire station and turn it into a bigger depot. So we found out about this after that cabinet decision. A 9-minute meeting of the cabinet took place, which is online, which people have all seen. A very narrow view was taken, where everybody just agreed with each other. There was no challenge, there was no discussion of any depth, talk about the balance of the two options, and that decision was taken. So that put us in a very difficult place, in a dilemma. So I then had to think very long and hard. You have 5 days to use the call-in procedure, which is, as I said, only used once in the last 5 years. I spoke with 5 members of opposition parties, because I wanted this to be a cross-party thing. So I spoke with Suzanne Fellis-Aiken, who's been heavily invested in this. from the Liberal Democrats. I lead the independents in the Northumberland County Council, and I also spoke with the leader of the Labour Party, Scott Dickinson, leader of Reform, Mark Pitt, and the leader of the Green Party, Mark Swinbank. And after negotiation, we all agreed that we thought that was not a safe decision, that it was done in haste. There was no real reason for that haste, and they agreed that they would sign the call-in document, which I authored, and asked for those other signatures. So this was a cross-party of the opposition members of Northumberland County Council, so very senior members of the opposition parties of Northumberland County Council, stating that we were not content that this item was not on the agenda, there was no need for rush, it was not on the forward plan, which is something where you would land things on to talk about. So that was not featured on there. That there was a live petition by Hexham Town Council requesting that the Gormley proposal go forward, and that Antony Gormley purchased the fire station at market rate, which features like close on some 4,000 signatures. It was against the County Council's policies of encouraging the public to influence the County Council's policies and decision making. So it was cutting across that, and this ran considerable reputational damage to the County Council, in that it was not listening to its public and its councillors, and that this was very, very high profile with a very important person and was causing some consternation. So that document went off, it was approved by the council officers. It then went to the call-in of last week. So I would stop there because I've just set the scene. I was called as a witness. Councillor Suzanne Fells-Aiken was called as a witness. Councillor Penny Grennan was called as a witness. On the defence side of the Sir Antony Gormley, where we were asked questions by the scrutiny committee, and then there was another side which was by the cabinet members who were supporting the condemnation of the fire station and it turning into a depot. So I will stop there because I just wanted to set the scene, and I will open it up for discussion. I think, Suzanne, would you want to speak at this stage?
No, I think you've summed it up well. It's obviously developed a bit as well since then. The call-in was incredibly brave and brilliant, and as we say, cross-party and not at all politicking. In fact, the opposite, because it was the vote for 4-6 that was one-sided, if anything. So that was really interesting, and it was about process and things not being done right, as we know. The interesting thing is that when we tried to do things right, when we were approached for a statement as this process was going on, a joint statement between ourselves and Gormley's team and NCC, it was very rushed, and we had 2 hours to agree it. And apparently we've refused to sign an agreement, which we didn't. We asked questions, we all had questions, I know, and I put my questions to it in the spirit of, transparency and democracy, and nothing came back, but apparently we refused it. So I find that incredible, and because it's kind of got to be signed by all three. I've spoke weekly to Gormley's team since August, so I find it interesting that suddenly they're talking to Gormley's team and I know nothing about it. That's quite incredible. And then speaking on behalf of the depot workers, those amazing people who work in Hexham, gritting our roads, providing my lovely Wombles litter pickers, I'm down there all the time. They're fabulous people. They're still in porter cabins. They can call them modular buildings until they're blue in the face. Those people are still in temporary structures, and that could be made so much better. We know that. If they really meant this to work to go forward, which I really hope they do. I'm a positive person, and I really do believe we need to take this somewhere that's not as negative as it has been. then the invites that have been extended to here tonight and to the Foundry, to the Cabinet Member for Culture and Sport, and Glenn himself, they would have taken them up, they would have snapped the hands off, and they haven't. And that speaks volumes, as does their surprise at the calling. It just says so much. So there we go, that's my summary so far.
I'll bring Penny running in, is it because she spoke as well? And then I'll bring Penny running in.
So I think that the call-in process was very interesting because it was procedural. So basically at the core of it is what the County Council are meant to do. And all the processes, as far as I'm concerned, of the County Council, as with the Town Council, are about protecting democracy. And so what we have seen with the posting of the demolition order onto the old fire station without telling us, and we're a major consultee in all planning applications, apparently except for that one, and the way that they've behaved ever since in bringing out information at the last minute, there's been no sharing, there has been no democracy in this process. And the call-in was to actually signal through their own processes how undemocratic they've been. And I think the devil is always in the detail, and I often say this, but it's true. We launched a petition because we were so dissatisfied with what was going on, and we wanted people to have the ability to sign and say, we want Antony Gormley in our town. And we chose to do it through the County Council mechanisms, because if 50 people sign a petition, it has to go to an area discussion. We've got nearly 4,000 signatories, and we launched it on the 7th, and they made a decision that completely cut across our petition 4 days later. So we use their own mechanisms for democratic representation, and they have flouted it, and they keep doing it. And I want a solution to this. I don't know what degree of trust there is in the County Council anymore, because they just behave with impunity as far as I can see. They contradict their own policies and procedures. They contradict the Calla report. They just do whatever they want. But if there is any trust to be built, they have got to say, right, halt to all of this, let's all get round the table and we'll share information, we'll share plans, we'll share figures, we'll share processes, we'll share ambitions, and we'll try and solve the problem so that we all benefit. And that's absolutely not happening. We are the enemy now. I don't know how that happened, but we are being cited as people who are not cooperating, and we're not cooperating because they are not behaving in a democratic and civilised way. And so the fact that the call-in went in our favour, I'm delighted, but it is absolutely no surprise to me at all. And so it now goes to a full council meeting. And I mean, I do think that the Tory minority administration needs to think about numbers. So there are 27 Tories out of 69 county councillors, and the heads of all the opposition parties signed our call-in. So this has become quite a big issue. And I really feel for Antony Gormley, because he was the person who turned up and said, I'd like to buy a building, which actually, as is claimed recently, was never for sale. Why were we talking about it for nearly a year? So he made an offer on a building because it's in the public domain, and he wanted the money that he was going to pay for a nearly derelict building to go into the public purse. So I really feel for the man, because he had an ambition. He wanted to give a gift to the town, and it is turned into the most appalling, undemocratic, disgusting mess. So we will see. We are now on the back of county council processes, and fingers crossed that they are democratic at their core. Otherwise, we're going to lose this one. Thank you.
Right, so I just wanted to for those who were witnesses, it all sounded very formal, a call-in. So I was lead witness, and Suzanne and Penny were also called as witnesses. I'm very pleased to say that several of the town council also attended as onlookers and to well, to witness what the proceedings were. So I'm now going to open it to the floor. Nigel, you had your hand up.
Well, I think Penny may have answered some of the query I had, which is the process.
Yeah.
So the scrutiny committees report to the full council. Is that right? Well, can the full council overrule the cabinet?
So there was a vote at the scrutiny committee following much debate, so maybe an hour and 30 of debate, in which that scrutiny committee is made up of 10 councillors from the county council. It's quite interesting that the vote went down party lines. 4 of the members are Conservatives, and they all voted in favour of the cabinet decision made by the Conservative ruling party. The other 6, made up of Reform, Independents, Labour, voted that the item was not safe, that it should not go back to cabinet just to ratify it, that it should go to the full council. So it now goes to full council, where there will be a further full analysis and debate by the 69 members of the Northumberland County Council, and that's planned so that the next meeting of the County Council is the 14th of January.
Can they overrule the cabinet?
So,
If they vote for it.
So we're straying into territory which is pretty unknown. The full council could make a series of recommendations, but the item would then go back to the cabinet, but it's an executive decision, so the cabinet could then either listen, either ignore, or amend in some way the decision it would have to retake.
It would be quite dramatic if a majority of the council members voted for it and it was then rejected by the cabinet like this.
I think it would take us into political dilemma. Is the only experience I could offer on that, and cause some interest thoughts beyond. Steve?
Just a couple of practical questions regardless of politics of it. The actual state of the building, generally speaking, these things are run down, closed down, pulled down. That's the way it used to work with obviously developers that I worked on the side. Is the building fit for purpose in terms of how much work has to be done to it to bring it up to scratch? And in doing that, obviously within the debate that takes place, dilapidation is a key factor in it. If it's falling down, the issues of repurposing is much more difficult. In your opinion, Mr. Mayor, what is the state of the building, and is there a council policy that says, we want to, we live in an era of repurposing everything, why would you want to pull something down when it can be repurposed into something else?
So I think that is a really good question, Stephen. Fire stations, if you look around our local region, Newcastle has just recently repurposed its old fire station into a 5-star hotel. Sunderland repurposed their old fire station into a concert venue, which is very, very popular. In Carlisle, there's a smaller fire station, probably the equivalent of the Hexham fire station in its size. And that is a concert venue, and I've been to that several times, and it's very, very impressive. And there's also a couple of fire stations within Northumberland which have been repurposed into offices or that ilk. So the repurposing of old fire stations is quite a common occurrence across the region. So is that. Obviously, Sir Antony Gormley has visited the fire station, and obviously he's expressed his wish to purchase. So I'm making that assumption that he feels that that fire station is in decent order. It has been boarded up, and since it was made empty some 8 years ago, and as far as we understand, that his intention, and we look at the artist's statement, Sir Antony Gormley's statement here, is that he would use that building as because of its being a local landmark and its positioning next to the railway station, within a short distance of his other 2 premises, that it would act as a perfect site for his. Now, his foundry and his artwork is not fine art, it is not paintings, it is heavy steel, so he needs something that has like concrete floors as opposed to wooden floors, say, like say here, or the repeated mention by the County Council that the Fellside building, which is the old middle school, is the one that the County Council keeps trying to mention, but that has repeatedly been turned down by Sir Antony Gormley on the basis that it is not fit for purpose. It's got wooden floors, it's an old school, he needs concrete, he is an industrial artist, and a fire station is exactly the type of thing that is attractive to him. And essentially the old middle school at Fellside essentially is going to be turned into a housing estate in the next 2 to 3 years, and it's just not what he would be interested in, and he's repeatedly said no. For whatever reason, repeatedly members of the Northumberland County Council's cabinet keep saying we can give him Fellside. Now I kind of think well, you're not listening. Do you not understand that he's an industrial artist, not a fine art artist? But also that is a listed building, the Fellside, and it's probably going to cost you a fortune. And I think it's a kind of like the County Council would really like to get rid of it because it's a very, very expensive liability going forward. So the answer to your question in short is obviously Sir Antony Gormley will have done his due diligence, and the answer is yes, that's the one that's the one he wants, and it is in. He said he would actually do some small extensions to it as well.
You agree with me then that in terms of, regardless of the politics,
yes,
whether it's art or Gormley, it's just pragmatic.
Yes.
And that should unite people with whoever common thread that this is best value for money, best usage, everything that goes with it.
Yeah. Okay, is there any more questions?
No, that's it.
Right, I'll bring Fiona.
Okay. I've done quite a bit of work on cross-referencing. The scrutiny committee information that we all heard. Also the report that was sent through on the 11th of November from that meeting, and latterly from the Politics North programme. And unsurprisingly, as we've heard already, much of the things that have been said, and many of the things that have been said, have actually been contradicted elsewhere. So I've got 3 pages of contradictions here, plus some additional ones. I'm not going to read them all, because I'm going to also ask about how we can use this, but just a couple of things. So, for instance, they're saying that, or Nick Oliver said, Councillor Oliver said, there's been lots of exaggeration about what is actually being proposed. He keeps saying it's just a story. If you actually look at Antony Gormley's document, you can see exactly what he wants, but also in their own report it says that it's very detailed in terms of what he's going to use it for. If you look specifically at 5.2, A, B, C and D of the report, it lays out absolutely, this is their own report, lays out absolutely what he said he's going to use it for. So that's a contradiction there. They say both Councillor Sampson and Councillor Oliver said there's no timescales mentioned for Antony Gormley. Again, if you refer to their own report, 5.2, once the facility is operational, public exhibitions are expected to be launched from spring 2029. So, contradictions all the way through. I've been asking since that first meeting, since that first decision, for costs, specific costs around how much it will cost to demolish the site and clear it, for instance, how much it will cost to redevelop the existing site, so that all these costs can be put into one sort of system, if you like, and work out how the income could contradict or could support the other, could offset the other.
I've been told things like, we do not release internal appraisals or valuation of assets. That's what an email said to me. I thought, well, this is a public body. How are they allowed not to tell us what their assets are valued at? I could go on and on because we don't want to.
I think I would encourage you to go on.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, because I think, maybe not all the points, but I know there's multiple points. But if you could pick out the sort of like the quite significant
Yeah, no, I
ones.
will. So the one that we've already mentioned tonight, building was never for sale, and as people have already said, so if it was never for sale, why did Councillor Oliver approach them with at least 2 other schemes that he knew that people wanted, and why have they been talking to Antony Gormley for 2 years if they knew the building wasn't for sale? Why has that ever even been entertained? Does that one?
And paused it.
Sorry?
And paused the demolition.
Yes, exactly.
Why bother?
I mean, and the thing is, it's a property, it's a building. Any building is for sale for the right money or the right purpose. You know, you can't just say something's not for sale. That one, right, so he started off by saying that he wanted to do the right thing for all, Councillor Oliver, the scrutiny, wanted to do the right things for all the residents of Northumberland and the residents of the Tyne Valley. So what about the 4,000 people plus who've signed the petition then? Are they not taken into consideration for that? That was another one. They want to expand the depot, vehicle maintenance and MOT testing station. But I thought the reason fire station was moved out of there was because of flood risk. Why would you want to put inspection pits, which is what they'll have to have as part of an MOT station, on a site that's subject to flooding? This is sort of just my head, really, that's thinking of things. This project would put extra pressure on parking, which would damage businesses in the town centre, Nick Oliver said. Well, it's down next to the train station, there's huge car parks down there, very easy access into the town centre for people walking, so that was rubbish. Pardon? Well, yes, exactly, yeah. He mentioned, or Councillor Mather actually mentioned the GMB union, and that they've supported that, and I would really like to find out, I don't know if anybody knows anyone in the GMB, but I would really like to know if that's actually true, and if the GMB union have actually come out and said that they support demolition of the fire station and of the council taking it for their own use. I'd like to know if that's true. Various things that we've been told have taken place. So apparently there was a business case was independently assessed. Where's that? We haven't seen that. The regen team put it all together. Where's that report? And why do all that if the building was never for sale anyway? You know, they've invested a lot of money in doing these business cases and these regeneration things for a building that was never for sale. Why do that? The house, obviously, is now for sale. We now know. They were able to very, very quickly get their architect to look at the site, like in 2 days apparently, get their architect to look at the site, do the drawings and be able to say, oh no, even with the house, the existing site couldn't be made large enough to use it for our depot without knocking the fire station down. I'd love to see those architects' plans and report that stated that.
You may want to mention about that the house was, that they've actually approached the house owner.
Oh yes, I have got that actually, yes. Yes, the council have approached the house owner in the past and had been told very firmly it's not for sale. So why then did they get the architect, you know, and then they suddenly think, oh yes, it is for sale, right, the architect will come in. And if they had been told the site isn't big enough even with the house, which they were when it wasn't for sale, why did they try to buy it, and then why did they get the architect to have another look? There's just so many inaccuracies.
But wouldn't the site be bigger with the house?
Yes.
Yes, but it's still not big enough apparently.
No, but it'd be bigger than the
Yes.
bigger than the
Oh
fire
yes,
station.
it would.
So it would be bigger than the fire
Yeah.
station. And what they're saying is it's not big enough.
Yeah.
So the fire station's not big enough.
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not divided by a road either, so you're not crossing a public highway that goes to the station. There's massive, those that would all be on one side, it would be consolidated on one side. What I find incredible is that they said that they looked into that house recently.
Yeah.
Because why would we have asked for something from long ago? Because you may want to sell now, which is actually turns out to be the case. So clearly they hadn't done that, which makes me, I was furious to find that out. And when that email dropped on the Monday morning, and they called the email magic. And I thought, no, that's the about it. The email's not magic. The email's about public engagement and transparency. If you start to trust people and tell people things and put stuff in the paper, people come forward and go, actually, I was going to sell in 2 years, but now I've seen this, I could go. So all we did was engage the public, and someone came forward. It's not magic.
Yeah.
It's called, yeah, I don't know what. Give us a name.
Can I'll just do a couple more things and then, no, it's fine. Just one about process here, that in the, so I've written this down, and this again is from what Nicola has said in the scrutiny. In the week before the Cabinet meeting, we had internal discussions, and Glenn said, I'd like to put it on the agenda because that's the first available opportunity we've got, obviously talking about that 11th November meeting. So that was the week before the meeting, he said that. So that was plenty of time to actually have done it properly, the proper way. And then he actually said he phoned people in advance of that meeting. Well, you can't, that's not how you inform people about a meeting, particularly, well, any meeting. So that might be useful in terms of procedure and things. And just one last thing I'll say, because this I thought was ridiculous. So I don't know how many people saw the Politics North thing, but Glenn Sanderson said, Gormley is as sick as I am about this, so a statement was issued that HTC turned down. I mean, how dare he sit and say it when we know that it's just not true. We know we didn't turn it down. We know Suzanne and I had a discussion that we were being bullied into signing that statement. We had 3 or 4 hours notice to sign that. That is not turning it down, that is simply, we simply said we need more time to think about that.
And always you wouldn't sign the notice, which I think is incredibly telling.
Yeah.
But they didn't say that, of course they didn't say that.
Oh, and also, sorry, this is the last thing, also on that Politics North, he said that local, and this is really confusing, local people had been asked to come up with options, but there were none. Who was asked, when were they asked, and how were they asked? So I'll finish there, but if any of you want that.
That's brilliant. So I'll just like to thank Councillor Fia Hartland for really digging into that, because me and Fia have had some conversations over the last few days where, you know, I specifically said, could you really drill into this? Because during that meeting I just thought there was a series of contradictions, unsubstantiated statements, as in, like, how much does it cost to demolish the fire station? Remembering if the council did avoid that demolition, they would save a sum of money, and they would also receive a sum of money from the capital receipt from Sir Antony Gormley. One thing I'm really disappointed with the County Council is that they have made it into 2 options. It's either Sir Antony Gormley's fire station, exhibition centre, storage, education centre, etc., or it's demolish and turn it into a council depot. So that they wanted to play it into a black and white item. I do not believe that is the case. I toured the site alongside council officers, alongside Councillor Suzanne Fails-Aiken, Councillor Penny Brennan, and we visited the site and were given full sight of not only the site that backs onto the fire station, the small council depot there, but also the much larger one, which is 20 metres away across the highway. And that is significant size. And it is, and I've said this to council officers, it is a hodgepodge. Things are placed all over the place. it is quite obvious it is not being strategically managed. On that site you have in the middle two-storey prefabbed offices. There's place for large vehicles in one site, a place for small vehicles in big units that are covered up. On another side, there's a very large vehicle car park on the inside of that. So there's this quite substantial space there, but it is a hodgepodge. Notwithstanding, there's also a small NCC-owned public car park which backs on and is on the same premise as the large depot. And I've said to them that car park could easily be turned into an operational centre, being used for operations by the County Council. You've got public car park at the Wentworth and at the new travel lodge area that the council paid many millions for. So if staff require car park or anybody needed car parking, it's a couple of 100 metres away maximum. It is very close to car parking. So that small car park, which is about 30 car parks, plus the vehicle car park, the vehicle parking inside the depot is about 50. So you've got about a big site there of about 80 vehicles, which you probably don't need that size. You will need some size, but not that size. And then you have the opportunity where the member of the public who owns the cottage, which abuts the large site, has actually approached me and said, look, I would be willing to sell the cottage and its substantial land to the County Council, which would make you have a much larger site if it enabled the Sir Antony Gormley Centre to go ahead. So what we've done is a private sale. He's not going up for sale publicly. He's just going. It's an offer of a private sale to the County Council. Now the County Council could receive a receipt from Sir Antony Gormley, avoid the cost of demolition of the fire station. So you'd be that much in credit to purchase the cottage and its substantial land, do any earthworks, and then you've got the opportunity to remanage and optimise, really put some thought into how you want that very large site to be your operations for the next 20 years. Because at the moment it is a mess. It is all over the place. So it needs imagination and it needs creativity to optimise that site. I don't think it would cost that much because we've already talked about those costs, but we need the County Council to offer that. I don't think the County Council they've never displayed that those options have actually been properly explored. So I would like from the Town Council, if you were to instruct me to contact the Chief Executive of the County Council so I can start asking all of these questions to say, right, we want to see some evidence. We want to see evidence of the cost of demolition. We want to see evidence of what you can do on that larger site. What options have you really looked into? As was mentioned by Councillor Nick Oliver of the Conservative Cabinet in the call-in, in which Councillor Faye Hartland has done some excellent work in really analysing and doing some forensic on what has been said. Now, if I can do that, and you instruct me to do that, and I'd be happy to take that forward, I can then start asking some very hard questions and saying, give us some evidence, and let's do this on an evidence base, as opposed to the County Council purportedly owning all this information but refusing to share it with those councillors who were, one, in the scrutiny committee, two, have been party to this for maybe 12 months. So we can actually explore, and then we can start to actually talk about, the art of the possible. I mean, the message I am getting from all of this is that, and I've always said this for the 22 years I have been on the County Council, is that it is officer-led, the officers know best, and I said some 20 years ago when I was interviewed by some external company, and they said, what's it like being on the County Council? And I said this 20 years ago, and I'm yet to change my mind. And my quote to them was, the answer's no, councillor, what's your question? And I have not changed my mind yet with the County Council. And this is just another big example of something that we have a vision for, that Sir Antony Gormley wants to do. And yet, for whatever reason, the Conservative Cabinet is blocking it, but I think it is all led by officers having their own internal vision of like operations come first and your vision comes second, and they made it into a polarised, it's a yes or a no, it's a depot or it's an Antony Gormley centre, and you can't have both. I dispute that immensely. I think with creativity, with imagination, you can deliver both, and that's what we want. We want to deliver both, that the staff and the operations have a centre that they can work out of correctly, and we get something that is hugely valuable, not only to Hexham, not only to Northumberland, but the North East region as a strategic asset. So I'll stop there because I've been very... I'll bring in Roger.
Yeah, 2 brief points. Firstly, bit of mention on the politics programme about Antony Gormley's 2 Hexham sites. But he has actually got 3. So he's got the foundry on Ferry Road, Bridge End, and then he's got the studio fettling workshop on Hoff Lane Industrial Estate, but then he's also got a big store around the corner on which was given permission on 2021. So he has put quite a bit of kind of investment into his presence in Hexham, hasn't he? So there's actually 3 existing sites. And then secondly, talking about creative thinking about how the sites might be utilised. I mean, you've also got like potential dual use aspect. So, you know, what's the County Council doing during the week that Gormley might not need part of his site for? So, you know, is his going to be more intensively used at the weekend? I'd say it had a visitor element, but you know, you could have dual parking and things that you know, just not necessarily an either or. Thank you.
I'll bring in
Thanks. Well done for getting it this far. I think you've probably made a lot more progress than you actually realise. I mean, there's some numbers being put down there, and I think you're definitely right to try to get the detail behind it in terms of what the 1.5 million constitutes, and then the 250,000 as well. Likewise, I think you've probably got Gormley to move a bit as well in terms of his commitment to actually open the space up. I would say in terms of the next steps, I think I don't know about the internal politics of the County Council, but you might well be able to just have a conversation about what would be the amount of money they would sell it for. There's always a price, isn't there? There's the news. I understand the North East Mayoralty is going to have a bigger budget. They're taxing lettings or have some holiday lets or something like that. So there might be something that Kim McGuinness might be prepared to put some of her budget in to then kind of take it over the line. So that could be a good potential opportunity. I guess it kind of keeps it as a live issue then for as long as possible. I would say though, if you can try to get, has anyone actually spoken to Gormley himself?
Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah.
Has anyone actually met him, or have we just spoken to his team?
I've spoken to him.
We've spoken to him. I think when you get it to a point where you might be able to take it over the line, you've got to find a way to try to get, well, either need to talk to some other political parties, or you need to try to get the Conservative group to kind of take a step back. And I would try to get Gormley to be the front and centre of the campaign itself. As much as I love Joe Morris and is an MP, I don't think putting him front and centre of the campaign is really going to be helpful, because it kind of makes it a political thing when it doesn't necessarily have to. There's a correct solution to this for Hexham, for the ratepayers and for Gormley and for the visitors as well. And I think make it a community thing, and then have and have Antony Gormley front and centre. Now he probably won't put his head above the parapet until he thinks he can actually take it over the line, but that might just take out a bit of the bite of it as well. I can guarantee 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if Guy Opperman put his face on a campaign and it was the Labour-controlled county council, would they be more likely to approve a change in the local area if Guy got behind the campaign, or would they be prepared to just shout it down? So I think you've got to kind of, might have to bite the bullet on that and just to kind of depoliticise it a little bit.
Yeah, Simon, are you able to do, since you're a member of the Conservative, are you able to sort of, as you said,
I can have conversations, but it's like, I'm very, very low down, so if you're a member of the Conservative Party, that puts you pretty much at the bottom of any kind of a decision-making process, but fair, I can have those conversations, but I think you just got to keep on plugging away at it. I know that they haven't got, I don't think anyone's ever we do not want Antony Gormley to have a centre. I think it is, as I understand it, down to cost. But if you can make the business case for it and get the detail for it, then I think there's a deal to be done, isn't there? So,
Yeah.
So I'll bring John.
Thank you. Earlier you asked for permission to follow this up with asking for the details, and I would certainly 100% want to vote for that. And I also want to congratulate you and the rest of the team that has been working on this. If only certain county councillors had taken the time and the care to ask for details and ask for this and ask for that. Common sense questions, nothing strange. We might not be in this predicament. But yes, please go ahead and you have my permission to do that, and I'm sure everyone else will. But I also want to say, thank goodness for the loyalty of Sir Antony Gormley. He's got 3 premises here, but he could quite easily walk away. And we all know that Gateshead's waiting in the wings to snap him up. We know that. Does the NCC really want to lose this opportunity? Because if they're not very careful, they will. And it would be such a devastating blow to the Hexham Arts Town, for instance, and the economy of Hexham. The total economy of Hexham would thrive because of this.
I'm bringing Neil.
I'm backing up what John said. I want to place on record the thanks of everybody here, to you, Derek, to Suzanne and Penny, for really fighting for Hexham, because really it's angered the town. It has really angered the town, and it looks like a diktat from county, and let's keep it going. And yes, let's do what John said, that you have the mandate to go forward.
Mike?
I agree with everything that's been said. One of the things that I've done an art project in the Abbey, artists don't tend to have that much money, don't tend to have cars, and people that are studying don't tend to have cars, and you have to pay for a great location, and having the location of the fire station is like 2 seconds or 2 minutes from the train station. There are 9 train stations on the Hexham to Newcastle line, which makes it dead easy for, and when I've done stuff before, they say just get off the train, get off at the train station, and it's there. You have to pay for that. You pay good money for something like that, and that's another opportunity which would be great, because our people just don't have money to throw around and just drive up to these places. So that's another great aspect of where it is.
Steve?
Just in terms of strategy, the last thing we want, or I certainly want, is for the Town Council and NCC to be engaged in a battle where there will be a loser. Generally speaking, those with the biggest authority end up winning. So I think you touched on it, Derek, as a way forward in terms of de-escalating it. The common enemy is the Estates Department of NCC. They're the ones who are providing all the information. They're the ones who are strategising everything, and effectively, and also say, they've taken the lazy option. They appear to be lacking vision and enthusiasm, and they're just doing the job. So if I was NCC in their position, I would look for common ground within both parties. And the common ground really is For them to make their decision, NCC would say, with the information that's provided. Now there's new information comes to light, like trialing somebody and finding them guilty or whatever. With the information provided, that was the right decision for them to, that's their get out clause. And for us, we provided with that new information. So I think there could be coming together and phase, great work, provided some of that information. Look, this isn't true, that isn't true, this isn't true, and to have some common ground to get the right decision. Whatever the right decision may be, we think it's one way, but whatever the right decision is, that gives everybody a get out clause and everybody saves space for the right reasons.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I mean we have come up with a numbers of solutions, and I think that Scott Dickinson stood up and said, I'm not going to take my 3 minutes as a witness because I don't need to. The people of Hexham have indicated that this is what they want and nobody's listening to them. And they should be listening to us. In 2022, after the scandalous behaviour of the last CEO of Northumberland County Council, there was a report by Max Caller, and I quoted it at the call-in, because this is where there's a sort of malaise right at the centre of the County Council, and as Derek has said, he's been there for 23 years, it's exactly the same. And this has provided a flashpoint for illuminating all that behaviour. And I just want to quote this. Max Caller said, understanding democratic accountability, scrutiny, openness and documentation needs to run right through every part of the organisation. A unitary council operation requires a real understanding of both strategic overview and local delivery. And it strikes me that where we are now, none of that applies. And somehow we've got to get that back. I don't know how we do it. I don't know why. People say to me, why is this happening? Why are they ignoring everything the town council says? Why are they ignoring all the people outside the fire station, all the people who signed the petition, all the people who are on the hillside at the seal? Why are they doing that? And you know what? I don't know. I don't know, but we've got to solve this problem because we all stand to lose. The county council its reputational damage in this town is absolutely huge now. So you'd think they might be worried about that, but perhaps not. And, for a lorry bin park, we have a solution within our grasp and they're not listening. So it's like a public appeal I'm making, if anybody from the County Council ever watches Hexham TV or our meetings, which if I was them I'd be doing it assiduously, is to say come to the table and tell us the truth and have an open conversation about what the options are. Because until that happens, this internecine war will carry on and it's going to full council and then heaven knows what will happen. Thank you. Mike.
Through the other thing you've said, just putting from what Stephen said, can we invite the people that make the decision, whether it's Glenn or whether it's the cabinet, to, just as you said, to walk around with the key people in this room at the site with and just sort of say, just have a look at the options, and can we then sit around the table, just as you said, find a way that's that where NTC and HTC look like they've reviewed everything together. So can we send an invite to them?
Yeah. I would, just to come back on that, I don't think we can gain, with 2-0 down at half time, it's not going to be 3-2 by full time. I think we ask for a further review for them to consider new information and that gives them the way out.
Yeah.
Yes, this is exactly the way forward that should be, and the statement was not quite there. And that same week I met the portfolio holder for the arts and sport at the New Mugger, and that was the invitation date to go down to Foundry and straight back to County Hall. And they knew that the invitation was there and she couldn't accept, which was a shame. And Yes, so invitations have been sent, and I really can't understand why this is happening. It seems to me so ridiculous. I said in my witness statement, I can't decide if it's laziness or deliberate obfuscation. I don't know, but whatever it is, it needs to stop, because the reputational damage, as you say, is huge here now, and there are two ways.
Yeah. David, would you like to speak a bit on?
Well, I just agree with it. You know, everything that's been said. Really, I mean, it's it's an appalling situation. I think the way this has gone with the NCC. So I'm fully behind what you suggested. I think that's what we need to do. We need a compromise here on the way forward. And I'm happy to support you in that way forward.
And Dom, you like to speak?
I just like to. I support everything that has been said so far. I think the way in which Hexham Town Council has approached this reflects the best of the openness and the transparency that Penny's been talking about, and reflects the spirit of seeking a mutually beneficial solution and outcome that you've outlined, and I think the council's behaved in an admirable way overall, and that that's
Thank you. Right. Well, I'll sum up now, because I think we've had a very really explorative debate. I'd like to thank you all for your considerable interest, and the councillors who were witnesses. They had to spend their time and their efforts and that time to really explore things. To those councillors who actually attended and seen how a scrutiny committee performed, so they could see from the sidelines, how it all works. So it's different when you're on the pitch as opposed to actually watching it when you're on the sidelines and really picking up. I think one thing I was fascinated by was the BBC politics programme on Sunday, in which the BBC presenter asked some questions of the leader of the County Council, Glenn Sanderson, and he was asked this question, that question, etc. What was fascinating was the final bit of that, and there was the Blade and Concert MP, Liz Twist, who was asked, would you be interested in Antony Gormley being in your constituency or in the Gateshead area? And she said, we thank Sir Antony Gormley for his Angel of the North and really putting Gateshead on the map in that way. And of course we would be so welcoming of that. So that which we've always worried about, that Gateshead would be, and I mean I've had people from Gateshead tell me that about watching like a hawk, but that was actually said on the television by an MP. So that risk and that worry is now turning into reality. Is that significant people are very, very interested in, and if we're not careful, we stand as Northumberland, as Hexham, to lose a significant asset. One of the things that we do know, and one of the things, the only things we do know about cost-wise, which I just find, I've been an auditor and I'm really into numbers and figures and all this type of stuff. I find fascinating is that we only know two figures, which is the potential cost, which the County Council keeps saying, we've explored the West Road site. I don't think anybody would explore that site as a real option. To me, that would be probably worst case option, to be honest. And they've said that would cost 1.5 million extra in capital. I don't understand what that actually means or where that comes from, and I'd love to know the detail of that. And £250,000 a year revenue. Again, Or you say it's going to cost you 250 grand a year in revenue, as in what fuel costs to get from to drive a mile. I just don't know where these figures have come from. But one thing they did say is that a Sir Antony Gormley Centre, if that took over, that could be up to worth about £3 million a year in extra revenue in tourism to Hexham. £3 million a year, and that's obviously on a rolling basis. You know, like all of us will not be around forever. I know everybody thinks I have been, but I do as well. There we go. But you know, we all know nobody's around forever. So Antony Gormley is of an age, and this is all about his legacy. And if we do not seize this opportunity now, I think that's it. I think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity that we've got. So, if council is minded, I will, if council is content, I will approach the Chief Executive Officer and start asking those questions to really drill into this. What's the figures, what's the cost, what's the options, what's the imagination, how do we find a way? As I say, I do not believe, and I don't like the way the County Council are playing it, as in being, it's a depot or a Sir Antony Gormley Centre, and there's no other options. I think that is absolute bungle. There is another way, where everybody wins, and that has to be the solution that we go for, is everybody wins. And as Stephen quite rightly points out, we need to give the County Council a face saver. So nobody gets their nose rubbed in it. We need to give people an out. So I will, if you are minded to instruct me to do so, I will take that forward with gusto and get that information so we can start a rally.
Do you want to vote on that?
Yes, please. If I could have a vote on that. Could I have a vote on that? Yeah. Thank you. I'll say that as a unit.
Will you issue the statements?
Yeah.
Before you?
Yeah.
Before you go, I don't sign anything up with it.
I mean, basically, all we do is as I will approach the County Council, I just ask them for the figures. That you know, ask those questions that Hayes asked for. So no more than that. It's all about fact finding this.
Yeah. With a possible review, I think a review is the way out of this.
Absolutely right. We do know, as I say, we do know that the County Council, if it does not, if we can't find a solution, we go into dilemma territory on the 14th of January at the full council in Northumberland. Not a place I wanted to go to. I think me and others are being made out as the bad guys. I don't think we are. I think we have been led and put into an impossible position. The reason why, I'll just mention why I asked for the call-in, because I had two options, either a call-in or not to do a call-in. And I thought to myself, I had 5 days to mull over that. And I thought, if I do not ask for the call-in, it will be forever thrown in my face by the Conservative Cabinet that, Derek, you had the option of a call-in and you did not take it. It's over. The other option was to do the call-in, and then it leads to this. I've spoke with the leader of the council and said, you know, actions have consequences. Your actions that you took to take that urgent item, it wasn't urgent. I will always dispute, it was never urgent. Is why did you take that as an urgent item? It was not urgent. It should have been spoke about. And this, because of that action, it's resulted in a consequence of a call-in and then all of the following. So that's me wrapped up. I will take Mike and then we'll move on.
So just because Steve said, I'd like to understand what I'm voting for, but we didn't vote after, so can you just put that again, just so we just get it right?
So all we are asking for is that I'm instructed to contact the Chief Executive of Northumberland County Council to ask all of those questions about costs and options available. So basically, we can see that what we are informed by Nick Oliver of the Cabinet that the County Council's done an awful lot of work on costs and options. Where are they?
And
We
we've
want
got
to
that.
see.
So just
Yeah.
officially that.
Yeah.
We'll support that.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Okay. So that's unanimous. I'll Grant, right. So that's that item. Enjoy that? No, I'm afraid. That's the need of the council. Well, you have a public meeting, you have a public questions. So we invite public questions, which is what you were allowed to do.
At the beginning.
Yeah, and then after that it goes into closed session. Right, where are we now?
Don't leave it, Nick, man.
Lost. Right, that's that. Yeah. Right, item number. Right, we're on to item number 8, which is to adopt Friends of the Earth guidance for town and parish councils. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on this? John?
Thank you. I'll try and keep it brief. Yes, I wanted to flag up the proposal from the P&I committee that we accept the Friends of the Earth guidance for towns and parish councils, because I think it's important. I think it's very important that we all understand this and we all know what it's about. Hexham Town Council has a history of recognising the critical situation that the world finds itself in. And we were possibly, the first town council in Northumberland to declare a climate emergency. We did so in September 2019. And the council at that time put together an action plan on sustainability that pretty much focused on what the town council as an organisation could do to put its own house in order. A couple of years later, after the local council elections in June 2021, the town council then went a little further. It declared a climate and biodiversity emergency, and it committed to working towards Hexham being a zero carbon town by 2030. We've got 5 years left to reach that goal. And since 2021, the global situation's not improved. Global warming's gone past the 1.5 degree limit we were hoping for at one point, and it's well on the way to 2 degrees now. You can see the evidence for that around you as British weather patterns have changed. It's very difficult to tell what season you're living in from day to day, from month to month. Storms are more frequent and increasing in severity. Heat waves are more common. We're getting more and more extremes of weather. Houses have burst into flames. At the same time, we have reactionary forces. We hear powerful voices shouting, "Drill, baby, drill," and calling environmental science the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world. At the same time, those reactionary forces strengthened possibly in this area as well. And Northumberland County Council appears to be under some pressure to reduce its commitment to net zero and reform. I can quote reform, they've used the label net stupid zero. accepting and adopting the Friends of the Earth guidance as part of our 5-year strategic plan would recommit this town council to working towards net zero through 3 aspects. Number 1 is being a force for good, and that shows itself through working with local people, working with the residents of Hexham and the businesses of Hexham, and to help get them ready for the changes which are coming. And the second aspect is using the powers that we have in our voice to protect Hexham's biodiversity and natural environment. And the third thing is by leading by example. So those are the 3 aspects of this proposal that I would like us to accept and be aware of. And that's it. That's me done, I think.
Okay. I'll bring in Simon.
What's the cost implication of implementing it? And then, lots of very sensible stuff on it. And then the other question, just the one that did jump out, and I'm sure Friends of the Earth have gone through a sort of a due diligence on it, to support those climate action groups to take local political action. And I think there might be restrictions on what town councils can do in terms of supporting political activity, because it's supposed to be
Yes.
neutral and not supposed to fund political groups.
This is true. And I must check that. But everything that comes up, everything that is suggested from the outside groups or whatever, and the funding implications of that, will all have to go through the Finance and GP Committee and the P&I Committee and possibly the Community Engagement Committee. So it's all within the power of the Hexham Town Council. And if there's something that comes up that you don't like, and you'll have very good reasons for not liking it, you offer those and it doesn't happen. So it's not carte blanche to the 3 of us who are green members, for instance. It's the town council taking on this role, and it will go through the usual scrutiny each and every time.
So is it advisory then? Is that what status would it have within the town council, and if we accept it?
I think it's more of a principle. I think.
Yes.
I think that's what John's put forward. Is actually a principle as opposed to committing costs. Because I think John's quite rightly stating is that the cost would be, if there is any cost, they would come from the various committees.
Yes, it's symbolic as much as anything. And I think symbols are important.
There's lots of great ideas on it as well. And implement some of them will be good. So it's got some nice.
But does that reassure you?
If it all goes through and it's just advisory, then I don't.
Yes,
it's
certainly not carte blanche.
Thanks, John, for bringing this. I think it's fantastic, and I think, talking about costs of doing it, what are the costs of not doing it? I think, in terms of the climate, and I support it completely. So thanks, John.
Yeah, no, I agree with this, and I think that what these sorts of initiatives do is that they raise the issues, and it needs raising all the time. We live in an immediate news world and things drop off, but climate change is happening, and so we have to be showing that we think certain things ought to be addressed, and there might come a time where we actually do have to commit money to it, but then we decide that at the time. But I think in terms of making a clear statement on behalf of the town about how important this is and what initiatives we can take to ameliorate it, it's very important.
I fully support this. There's 2 things that pop into mind for me in terms of what the council can do is facilitate. So I've run my 3rd electric event, which is just trying to facilitate connectivity between residents that have the ability to do something and the people that can actually install home renewables. One of the 2 things in my mind are, I think you've got it here in one of your sentences, you've got people can often be at a loss of what they can practically do to reduce their own carbon footprint and support nature. and what people don't realise is we're in the middle of a transition. We went from coal to town gas, from town gas to methane gas, and we're now going from methane gas into electrical and renewables. And one of the big things that people are not really aware of is that they can reduce their bills by putting an investment in and switching to using electricity. So I've been running a project called One House, One Street, One Town, and I've got Octopus at no cost to the council, interested in doing work on a street along with another supplier. And at the moment I'm just sort of going actively round and sort of targeting some of the councillors and others to find a street, because I think at the moment it's now going to be word of mouth that will get people to switch. The people have to see this now because they just don't believe it works when it does. And I think the second big thing, which is not on the radar at the moment, obviously we are where we are with the Gormley item, is the old Hexham Middle School site. I think we're talking about 200 houses. At the moment you have to put in air source heat pumps. So that's 200 air source heat pumps that need to go into potentially 200 houses. Now, if you took that money and put it into a district heating scheme, that scheme could not only power that site, it could power the Carbon Homes 500 site, and that could be sold on. So I'd like to certainly push the council to think creatively, as Derek says, when they put in solutions. But anyway, yes, I fully support it.
All right, David.
Yeah, I've read through the paper that you provided, and to me it just screams out common sense. There's nothing in here that I wouldn't agree with, so I support it.
Oh, I was lucky enough to go to Paris with the Wildlife Trust and saw what they're doing in Paris, and they're doing a lot of these similar things here. And the difference it makes, if you can start greening some of the streets more than they've done in the past, it makes a fantastic difference. So, hopefully endorse this. I think it's great, and if we can do it in Paris, I'm sure we can do it in Hexham.
Anybody else? Okay, so John, do you want to just sum up and just say what we're voting for here?
I'm sorry, Derek.
Sorry, I was just going to say, would you like to sum up and just say what we're voting for here, just in a few sentences?
Right. Well, thank you for your comments, those of you who've spoken there. I just want to say it's a symbolic thing, but symbols are important. You know what difficulties and discussions we have about the English flag appearing, how important that is. We have discussions about statues sometimes as well. There are symbols of different things. This is symbolic of Hexham Town Council's commitment to do something with the community, with the people of Hexham, to try and prepare them and to prepare our town, which we all love, ready for the deep changes that are going to be brought upon us by the burning of fossil fuels and etc. So that's why it's important, and I would like you to vote for it, please.
Right, okay, so we'll now go to the vote. Those in favour to adopt the Friends of the Earth guidance for town and parish councils. Okay, we have those numbers, and those against. Any abstentions?
Just on the grounds of the political campaigning, and I don't know enough about LED lights as well, but in principle I agree with most of it, but I don't.
Right, okay, well that's passed. Right, so that's passed. Right, so number 9 is to receive an update on the Hexham potential development sites. Is there any news on Hexham?
No.
No, nothing to
Well, I'll just say I did go along with the Town Council hat on to the Developer Open Day, just to sort of have a note about. Condition of the buildings wasn't as bad as I was expecting, so thank goodness the BBC's been in, so they've kept them kind of occupied, relatively vandal free. Quite amazing what they've done in the main sort of hall, because that's all decked out like kids flat, with false rooms in and such. It's quite amazing, worth a look around for people. But there was at least 3 national volume builders on the sniffing around it. So I don't know what came of that, but there was some interest on the day. So.
Very good. Old bus station, don't think you've had any news on that
No,
one.
I'm still chasing it. I've been asking for updates for 3 months now.
Toilets,
No.
nothing. West Road, I don't know anything on that one, but obviously it did come into consideration with the whole Gormley affair. Police houses, there is some mechanical works actually on that site as we speak. So works are being done. I think that's all just to clear the foliage, of which there is a lot on there. But obviously work is progressing there. Union workhouses, not heard anything on that.
There's a meeting supposedly being set up between the MP and NCC and Hexham community-led housing, who all want to have a meeting, but none of whom can agree on a date. I think it's kind of the MP's diary, but supposedly something's trying to be organised.
Shambles, well, at last, after what seems like forever, finally completed. Well, saying finally completed, well, a lot of it was completed, so it is now, the works are now done and the work as of now cleared off. However, it should be noted that, I mean, that didn't finish until late November, when we were told that it was going to be early November, early October, and several other dates as well. So it's been a painful exercise, the shambles. But we should also recognise that actually the reorganisation of the car park at the marketplace in the shambles area is still to be completed. So, what has been a very, very long scheme really is not finished. So I think that's going to be after Christmas.
Yeah, we did ask for them to pause the car park there for the Christmas events, and actually I'm quite pleased that that's not imminent.
But
there is a leak on the drain pipes, and so that I've had to report. And our Christmas lights have been saying was dumped on the ground. I think I'm really to go to retrieve them. They're letting, thank you for that. So it's not.
Yeah, it's been not the best experience, I think. Cycle path, anything, any updates?
No, it's going well. There's been a consult on some residents parking on one side of the road, some permits where there's no off-road parking just in one section near Whitecross. And there's another consult going on the tree map that I handed over that was basically the work with Guy Holmes and the Civic Society for replanting mature native specimens to fill the avenue. So that's being done.
Right.
There's a meeting tomorrow as well, isn't there? If you want to do the ones, I'll...
Right, okay. The railway building and water tower, I don't know anything, any new news on that one? Project?
I don't think there's anything new, but can I suggest that Andrew sends another email to his contact there and some sort of indication that we'll be going to escalate it to the enforcement officers at NCC because of the continued condition of the buildings and under occupancy, non-occupancy.
Okay. West End Methodist. Okay, so I did receive a message just within the last day or so, in which they are stating that it's still being used by public bodies, still being rented out, but they are looking to maybe look for, it was a sale, wasn't it? That they may be looking to do some sort of sale of the West End Methodist in 2026, but they're conscious they don't want to trip over and have the same episode that they had with the Ebenezer building in Brother, which was painful. So it's good that they're keeping us posted of that process. So So
Have we expressed an interest in it formally?
we've said that we want to be kept fully aware, and obviously they're keeping us updated of.
And have we emphasised, because when we spoke to them before, they may well discount it if it was for general community use rather than the housing estate.
We've kept them, and obviously they've just contacted us, which is great. So obviously we'll keep alive to that, and that's why we've got this on here, just so we're fully aware. Old Rob's Beals site, no one knew than that?
No.
Nothing.
Potentially exciting though.
Yeah. Prospect House, we have seen workers on that site, so that looks as though work is being done there, so hopefully they'll come to markets soon.
Well, the office sale, haven't we? Cross that off.
Yeah, no office sale, are they? Right, that's good. Okay, that's good. Right, well, maybe we need to cross that one off. Yeah. Abbey House, any news on Abbey House? No. Old fire station, any news? Yes, please, if you would. So this is going back to about the cycling path.
Yeah, so there is a meeting tomorrow, 12:15. I think it's at Wentworth. But I think the main issue is they're looking at the pedestrianisation of a short section of road at Peth Head. They've sent out a consultation letter to residents.
Yes, sorry, I do know about that.
Yeah.
Yes, they're actually going to make a dead end there now, which is really quite exciting. That was the basis of the petition, do you remember, a while ago, of Dean Park people, because it's a rat run, people avoiding the bus station and the roundabout. So now they're going to grass it. There's going to be some trees going as well there. Sorry, I completely forgot about that. But yes, it's no longer going to be.
Well, so when you come down to the massive Charlton bit, okay,
That's interesting.
well, it was interesting because when you look at the cycle path and it's coming, and I see children going to school. They go to Corbridge School, and I see plenty of people pushing their prams across. I'm thinking, the cycle path's going to cross.
Well, they were going to change it. Yes, they were going to change the
there's
layout.
traffic going through it because traffic turn right and they come up really fast.
Yes.
So just an accident waiting to happen.
Can you just clarify? So the Peth Head Road is going to become a dead end, is that what you're saying? Which end of it?
Where the trees are planted.
Right.
The triangle, the Subaru triangle.
Right, Subaru triangle. Is that right?
No, it's not the Subaru triangle.
No.
It's that top bit.
No, it's one up from.
Oh right, okay.
Oh, so it's the cross, the white cross.
Yeah. It's just a bit further along the road from the light substation. So it's just that short road that goes back down.
Is it the white cross that we?
Yeah, it's opposite there.
No, it's still a dead end. Yeah, so you won't get traffic going down.
Right, yeah. Oh, I thought it was the Peth Head one as well, unless that's just the redesign that I saw.
Wow. It is titled Peth Head, but it's not. It's not Subaru.
Right. Okay.
We just have to go into town.
It's on. Right. Penny.
Yes, I just want, it's an observation really. So we've taken out Prospect House, but we've still got 13 sites in the town that are not functioning, in some cases falling down, no movement on it, no updates, and this is just not an acceptable state of affairs, and that's all I want to say.
Could we ask someone from MCC to...
So the Hexham Hub is supposedly the place where we engage between the County Council and the Hexham Town Council with officers.
And there's a meeting in January, is that right?
No, the meet quite regularly. Don't know who goes to them.
Oh, this is the community partnership, this is something else.
No, it's a Hexham Hub. It's a Hexham Hub.
Well, I mean, this list doesn't change really.
No, I agree.
Take one off today.
Well,
but how long Prospect House is shambles off?
Shambles is off as well.
Well, not really, nearly. But you know, it's just appalling. How big is this town, for heaven's sake? Not that big. So,
Agreed. Right. So item 10, forthcoming events. There's the Christmas market on the 13th. On the 13th. And there's the Village Green. When is that? Village Green.
15.
Yeah. So the Village Green, which is the land on the Allendale Road, which is going to be it's a proposal for that to become designated a Village Green. So there's a public consultation in the Wentworth on that Village Green on the 15th of December. So that's the forthcoming ones. Mayor's announcements, which are more of a sort of a backward look. The gear, the earth installation ended on the 16th of November. I think that's been a fantastic use of the Hexham Abbey. It attracted lots of visitors, so well done that. There was a small businesses meeting between Hexham Town Councillors, the Northumberland County Council, where there was a few things, discussed about how the small businesses are feeling. I mean, it started because of the shambles being going on as long as it had, but there was a much broader and wider conversation. And I'd have asked the small businesses to actually, if they could, because this has been the biggest frustration I feel with small businesses in Hexham is if they could organise themselves and have some sort of committee structure, because we don't know who to talk to with regards to small businesses. They're all independent and there's no unity of purpose, and that would be helpful. Forum attended the Christmas, the Independents have put together a advert for Hexham, like a little advert which goes on at the start of the cinema, hugely high quality, very, very impressive, and it actually featured on BBC Radio 5 Live, and it's actually hit like local and national media, so they've done very, very well with that, and they should be applauded for that. Yeah, 250,000 views, so really should be applauded for that, for their efforts there. We had the Christmas light switch on, attracted over 1,000 people. All seemed to go very, very well. The Christmas tree looks fantastic, and our big thanks to Egger for their contribution on that. Everybody else who played a role. I think our Christmas lights after our strategy some 5 years ago of actually to put more money in Christmas lights is really, really starting to pay dividends every year. It's a layered approach, so every year it just looks bigger and better, and it's reaching all the way down Market Street now, and along lots of other streets as well. So it's looking really, really impressive, and everybody, I keep getting approached a lot of times by people going like, the Christmas lights are amazing, and I think this town council is one of the magnificent successes of this town council over these years. I opened Specsavers the other day, so they've moved into a new premise, which is the old Virgin Money store. Very, very impressive the way they've laid that out, nice and spacious, so it's really, really good.
When you all down,
he's off to Narnia. Christmas market. I've talked about Christmas market. So yes, so lots of things going on. Really, really good.
Community archaeology.
Oh yes, do you want to talk about
the community archaeology project that's been running over this last summer, looking to put in a lottery bid, and they've asked for the support of the town council.
So I'm going to have the support of the Town Council. So that's just a letter from basically just saying we really support what they've done. So excellent. Right, to agree accounts for payment.
That's just a summary of receipts and payments.
Right, oh yeah. So if I can draw councillors' attention to the accounts for payments at the back end of the papers, I'll just flick through them. Page 1, any questions, any comments? Page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6. Any questions? To note the approved minutes of committee meetings. So we've had.
There's only been one that could have been any previous for
what was the so we have the
no, I must have picked up
finance and general purposes meeting of the about the 22nd of October, about the 22nd of October, page 1, page 2. Are you okay with that? And finally, to note correspondence received.
Just the usual was received other than the archaeology one and the stopping record for the path.
Thank you. So just it just seems very early though. Obviously it's very early to say this, but I just wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. As we go forward and into the new year. I think it's obviously been a very exciting year because it's been the end of the last council, the start of this new council. I've got to admit, I think this new council has acted incredibly constructively, really good thought process, really delivering, and it's been a pleasure to chair the meeting throughout this year. So please congratulate everybody, and we'll end the meeting.